Oh, I was muted. That's crazy. Thank you, Sam. I was greeting everyone, and I was saying to Jose that uh I literally just finished all the shit I needed to get this out, and I didn't have time to be like coordinating times and shit. It's another solo stream for your boy. I ate Brayden. Who remembers my cannibal arc back in NNBL? That was a special time. But yeah, this is what the top 25 is looking like in the last 2 weeks. North Carolina holding down number 1. Even though the game wants to give it to Tennessee, they're looking for any reason to give it to the Volunteers. No. I only offered that exchange thing to Levi because he's gifted so many subs. You should find a coach to put all those points on. That's the ticket. I know that they've been in the top 10 before. This is about as high as they've ever been, though. On the Washington coach, I think he's like getting pretty close to max. I know you had a lot. We can look at stuff in the request stream. That's gonna be tomorrow. I'm not doubling up on streams tonight. This one should be. I mean, the slides at least are gonna be quick because there's not many of them. All right. Anyways, we're gonna get right to it. Our first game, rivalry game. Man, the first blemish in the ACC schedule for UNC. Their first loss in like 20 games or something like that. Comes at the hands of Duke and the dynamic duo. Njack's even in the chat. You love to see it. Special performance. Look at me just being a foul baiting little shit. Njack's with the backup, 14-8-5. DJ Matthews at 14-6-2 for the Tar Heels, but the guard play that's been so powerful for the Heels, not there on this night in Durham. Yeah, Obama giving himself a medal. 20-point win. Remember when Brown upset UNC way back at the beginning of the year? That was a close one. Duke gets it done. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. Special stuff. All right, next game is one of Yoni's request slides. This is Iona's game, where they get a road win over Quinnipiac. Danilo Rusak with 17-4 and 2 steals. Kellen Walker at 12-3 and 3 for the Gales. Bobcats were led by Anton Mansveld. 17-4 and 4 made threes for him. Bobcats come up short at home, though. Iona, an incredibly mid team. Not surprising if you looked at their roster before the year. They don't really got that. They don't really got hoopers like that. All right, we're gonna move on. Man, the Pac-12, they got ranked teams out of nowhere. San Diego State is back, and they get a big-time win here to keep in the top 25. Beat Gonzaga at home. Behind a great performance from Bruno Brady, 24-5-5 and 2 steals. Almer Porter pitching in with 16 and 7. Russ Barmossel with 15-7 and 6 stocks for the Bulldogs. But the Zags, doors still open for the Aztecs in the Pac-12 race. They need Gonzaga to drop another game, though. Not sure how likely that is. I think this is one of the more fraudulent Gonzaga teams. I did not think they were going to win their conference this year, but they're still here. I mean, credit to their coach. They do have a good coach. I think he's like all 99 ratings, but I'm certainly not picking this team to make a big run in the tournament. If they still had Lloyd Rosado, story might be a little different. But they don't have him anymore. He left for the league. Our MVSU recap. They gave a fight, but Prairie View they've been a team on a mission. They are right on Jackson State's heels in the SWAC race right now. Despite Louis Volson actually like having a good game, I swear whenever I look at these games, he's always just okay. I would too. They're just so mid. Which is better than what they are IRL, which is just straight butt. But John Schultz and Rodney Smith both had good games for the Panthers. Of course, Louis Volson, already talked about him. Had 18 to lead all scorers in the game. Yeah, Prairie View, the defending champs in this conference, they're trying to catch Jackson State. I didn't think they had this kind of season in them, but they've won this is like their 13th straight win or something. Crazy ass win streak. All right, then we got a top 10 battle in the SEC here. Tennessee defeats Mississippi State. Held them boys under 50. Defensive clinic for the Vols. Deion Washington with 17, 8, 4, and 3 blocks. Dylan Scriley with a hard-working double-double, 10 and 11. The matches for... Yeah, who goes there? Who goes to MVSU? Desperate people. Omar Cooper, shout out to bro. He had 13 and 10. Mississippi State drops this game. Tennessee, holding on to first place in the SEC. They just got to get it, bring it home now. Just don't fuck it up. You guys have first place. That's our first week. They drop UNC 4 spots, huh? We got Alabama in the top 25. Man, I totally forgot they even existed. What did Sam do? Probably something crazy. Michigan breaks back into the top 10 at number 9. St. Mary's and UTA don't move. I find it funny USC's still just like having a battle for respect in the polls. Duke doesn't move despite the win. That's kind of funny. An impressive win too. The Tennessee's number 1 for now. Virginia just hanging around at number 2. K-State also back. Base Duke hate. David getting a little passionate about the Duke hate. I respect it. All right, last week of the season, we start off with the USC Trojans clinching the Big Ten regular season title with a win over Purdue. The Gomez-Shurin duo for USC has been money for them this season. They were both great in this game as well. That's going to lock up the first seed in the Big Ten for the conference tournament. Gomez had 19, 8, 3, and 2 blocks. Gauss-Shurin 15, 5, and 6 for the Trojans. Elijah Porter with 14 and 3 assists for the Boilermakers. They are... I don't understand how they're still ranked because their record is fucking ugly. It's USC's to lose. Yeah, Washington's gotten better as the year's gone on. I was scared there, but they were about to be fool's gold after that bullshit they pulled last year. And we got our final Akron slide of the season, of the regular season anyway. And it's them winning a fucking shootout over Toledo. Eric Van Claiborne was a hero in this one. 25-point double-double on 10 of 16 shooting. Greg Frost with 24 points. 3 assists, made 4 3-pointers. Dave Browning at 31 points for the Rockets. Akron trying to wrap up another regular season championship in the MAC. Yeah, no, this game didn't go to overtime, by the way. This is all regulation. Akron must be stopped. I don't think they're unbeatable this year. They had previous iterations that were just like nobody in this conference had much of a chance. So I think there are a couple teams in here that can tap them on the shoulder. But they get the win here. I don't think Toledo is one of those teams, despite them going fucking crazy in this game. They almost beat them. All right, next game. This one officially locks up the regular season ACC title for UNC. With this loss for Virginia, NC State clips them here. In Raleigh. Roland Williamson, one of the best defensive players in the nation this year. Not a huge defensive game for him, but he was actually active on offense at 16 points in this game. Bryce Norman, also been a guy that hasn't really been, he's not like super high overall, but he's been pretty big for this Wolfpack team this year. Been a big contributor, scoring a lot of necessary points, and they've needed him to be as good as he's been. Tate Whitney, close to a double-double with assists. Not far off from a triple-double. Virginia just not as strong as they've been. They're mortal. A good team, but they are flawed like everybody else is. Yeah, NC State, a good win for them. First, actually good season the Wolfpack have had in this sim. Wonder if that's if they're here to stay or if it's just a flash in the pan. All right, checking back in with the SEC. Oh, Tennessee, you couldn't do this. You couldn't afford this. It is Texas A&M, who's a very good team, but still, you got to win at home. Montrell Batista third, 16 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. Great game for him. Abram Lovett had 18 points to lead all scorers, including 3 made threes. Adrian Sutton had 15 and 7, but it was just a great performance by the Aggies. In a top 3 matchup here late in the season. It definitely opens the door for Vanderbilt to get back into the conversation here. What are we talking about in chat? Maybe. Oh my god, it's 1 versus 2. If it was football, they definitely would have done that. Oh, Keneal in the stream, he just re-upped his sub. That's fire. We love to see it. Just in time for the postseason. Special stuff. Alright, moving on. Man, anyone who had New Mexico State in their top 25, I don't know if anyone did. But they're probably not going to get it after this result here late in the season. Last game of the year. They kind of get cooked by Sam Houston in this game. E.J. Randall, the custom. I don't know if David remembers this man. He was at UC Irvine, but he's at Sam Houston for his senior season. He had a great game in this one. Neil back in the stream. Might cry. Dalton Tudor was very good for the Aggies, but he was about the only one that showed up. Bearcats went wild. All right, next game. Hey, Yoni, there you go. Siena finishes 18 and 6 in the MAC. Beat St. Peter's by 20. Ripped to the Peacocks. Just some end of the season slides. Panioni twice. Yeah, Eric Lopez, 20 and 6 for him. Cornell Beek had a double-double. 17-10 for him. Finn McDonald, 13 and 5. St. Peter's is kind of in trouble though, because I think Chris Chungus got hurt, so that might be an issue for them. No defense was played in the Akron game. That's all I'll say. All right, next game. Alabama State. The recap. Also doubles as a Jackson State one. Because that was the one that was actually requested. But Alabama State gets the win. Jack Johnson and Elijah Ellis both had 17 points. Caden was good, but the Hornets, man, I think next year is going to be their year, because I think they're probably going to surpass Jackson State next year. I think. At least that's what I believe in my heart of hearts. Hornets probably going to settle in as the 3 seed here in the SWAC tournament. I respect it. All right, in our final game, the season finale in the Big Sky to determine the 1 seed. And it's going to go to Idaho. They defeat Montana in the rematch. They were early in the stream. Yoni. Lucas Soto, a guy that's usually more like the glue guy, not really the lead scorer most games. He had 22 in this game. We got to look at standings and all that. The slides are the quick part. 4 boards and 2 blocks. Clay Carvinen, he had struggled in the first matchup, but he put in a good performance this time. 17, 6, and 5. Leslie Kearney was really good for the Grizzlies at 23 points to lead all scorers. But the Vandals get it done. They are first place in the Big Sky in the regular season. Second time they've done this in this sim. And that brings us to our final top 25 of the season. This is where we're at. This is what we're being judged against. Look at that. UNC back up to number 1 to end the regular season. They're sitting pretty. UTA and St. Mary's, man. Look at them. Look at them go. Iowa just sneaking in here right at the 12th hour, 11th hour. Baylor also finally back. All right, I think our next slide is our winners for the preseason contests. Starting with our conference winners. First place, all by himself. David, it's you, bro. 15 points. Then we got Sam and Chance tied for second. And me and Yoni are going to be getting third place prizes. Oh my god, it's an S tier for heal. Oh my god. It was against Toledo. The Rockets. Man. I'll post the full standings for the contests in the normal place after the stream. Alright, and our other contest, preseason top 25, we got a tie at first with Sam and Yoni. Tied there with both of us, got 17 points there. Braden was all alone in second with 16 points. Then we just got a fuck ton of people who got third with 15, including me, because I tied. Brian, OG Floridian, if he's in the stream, and I'll let him know he won something. Heal, CRK, Levi, and Chance. I'll get in on that. And that is it for our slides, but the stream is not over. Now it is time to go to the standings, the final standings. Let me shrink this down a little bit. There we go. All right, so the America East was interesting, and Vermont just ended up scooping it up at the end. Yeah, the American got crazy. USF kind of ran out of steam down the stretch. North Texas swooped in. This team's on North Texas, another team on a crazy ass win streak. They haven't lost in a while. Who bailed me out to win the contest, by the way? I'd have to check it again. Queens finishes first in the Atlantic Sun. All right, then we got the A10. Richmond ended up holding on there. Rhode Island and Davidson were close, though. UNC ended up running away with the ACC. No one was close to them this year. The singular loss to their biggest rival probably hurts, though. I picked Rhode Island to win the A10. I was high on them. They were good this year. Not quite as good as Richmond, though. NC State that's a respectable fourth place finish for them. Baylor ends up winning the Big 12. 17-3. Kind of crazy after the start they had to their season. UCF with a surprising fourth place finish. They're kind of a chaotic conference, not gonna lie. Kansas kind of they recovered a little bit here at the end. Also, Colorado like burned the fuck out in like January. Braves still got work to do with this team. All right, Big East. Creighton ended up holding on to that one. Them and Xavier, though, they were neck and neck the whole year. UConn and Providence, 14-6. Then a bunch of blah after that. Big Sky goes to Idaho. Them and Montana have been the best two teams there basically all year. Utah Tech was doing good until they lost their best player for the rest of the year. They weren't able to sustain that injury. Big South was kind of crazy at the end. Longwood ended up swooping in and taking this one at the end because Radford and Winthrop kind of choked it away at the end. Big Ten ends up being a landslide for USC. They were 3 games above Michigan, who was second place. I was hating on Iowa in the preseason, but third place in the Big Ten, that's not bad. Especially for a conference that was just eating itself the entire season. I did not pick MSU in the preseason. They didn't have their super weapon anymore, and it showed. I had Bakersfield too. I was a Roadrunners believer. They came up just short. They're improving. Rutgers is still improving. They're top half of the conference. We had Charleston at the top of the CAA. Campbell's second place. Stony Brook, the first year after the legendary team is gone. They were just mid. Kind of figured something like this would happen. I thought they'd be a little bit better, but that's about what I expected. Conference USA, I picked Western Kentucky. It didn't really work out. I think they're getting attention as an at-large bid, which I think is deserved. They got a nice team, but they weren't beating the Aggies this year, unfortunately. Purdue Fort Wayne ends up topping the Horizon League this year. Northern Illinois and IU Indy tied for second. The Ivy League was an absolute bloodbath. Congrats to anyone at any of these three teams as their champion. You get credit for that. I am one of them because I picked Yale. The MAC with 2 A's goes to Canisius. They finished first. Under first-year head coach Dominic Price, finally back in the head coaching ranks. Siena finishes second. Merrimack, the last hurrah with Pomerleau and Sant'Agostino. They're going to be a 5 seed in this tournament. For my Akron is mortal take, they ended up tying with Central Michigan for the conference regular season title. The Chippewas caught them. Ball State still just mid. Norfolk State wins the MEAC. They've done that quite a bit in this 4 out of the 6 seasons they've had at least a share of that. Northern Iowa runs away with the MVC regular season title. Now, if only they can just not fuck up in the conference tournament. But they've been prone to just waste this position year in, year out. GCU and UNLV tie at the top of the Mountain West. They were very evenly matched all year. They split their regular season games. Same record. Hawaii, good season for them. Like, I think they're a more limited team than they've been in the past, but 3rd place finish, that's good. You were behind 2 really good teams. NEC goes to Wagner, finished 14-2 in the conference. FDU finishes 2nd. CCSU, the last hurrah, they're a 9-7 team here in this conference. They're going to be played in Mercyhurst round 1. OVC goes to Morehead State. They didn't lose a game this time. They've just been so dominant most seasons. Except for this one. This was a random, like, weirdly bad season for them. The Fighting Tank Mavericks finished 2nd place. And then we got the Pac-12. Gonzaga and San Diego State tie at the top there. Same exact record. Oregon State? Are they on their way to being back? 3rd place finish for them this season. Colorado State, team that was fresh off a Sweet 16 run. Very disappointing year for them. So I thought they'd be right about where they were last year. That did not happen. The Patriot League goes to American. Not Holy Cross for the first time in 2 seasons. SEC, shout out to Vanderbilt. I did not think they had this in them. I thought they were going to be like noticeably worse this year. But they get the SEC title in the regular season again. Shout out Kenton Holt. What a job he did this season with that team. Also, Tennessee definitely just choked the fuck out of that. Yeah, Kentucky. I'm so out on this Kentucky team. I was out basically middle of the year when they started doing that bullshit. Just mid. Samford and UNC Greensboro tie at the top of the SoCon. Both finished 17-3. Stephen F. Austin, 1st place. I forget who I think I picked Furman too. Good team, but not quite as good as the teams that were actually at the top. Which ones are Fresno still just mid? Like they're basically exactly the same as they were last year. You can take that as a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Yeah, McNeese, first time since year 3 that they did not finish first in the regular season. Conference is all over the place. I don't know who's gonna win this conference tournament. Summit League, South Dakota ends up on top of that one. Then we got Sun Belt, App State. Good season for them. They end up running away with it. Get back to being at the top. Georgia State, though, they're still good. In the SWAC, Prairie View A&M riding a 16-game winning streak to end the season. They're going to be first place in this conference. They steal it from Jackson State at the end. Honestly, crazy. Hell of a season for them. Alabama State going to be third. All the way up from the 11 seed last year. Big time improvement for the Hornets. MVSU still just mid as hell. 7th place, that's the best they can do. And then we got the UAC with UTA at the top, of course. West Georgia and Austin Peay both tied for second. West Georgia's going to get the nod for a better overall record. Central Arkansas is a 4 seed. Anyways, had to mute myself for a second. EKU, the first year without all their star players that they had. Honestly, better than I thought. Little Rock is finally not last place for the first time in 4 seasons. Yeah, I just had to sneeze. My bad. My bad, gang. I don't want y'all to hear that. And then the West Coast. Santa Clara kind of cooled off a bit down the stretch, but I mean, second place here, that's not bad considering the roster turnover they had to deal with this year. If Neil is listening, it's not super bad over there. I had a feeling they might be like 4th place in this conference this year, but it's okay. They're still second. They're probably still going to get murdered by St. Mary's, but it's okay. But yeah, that is the standings update. End of the regular season. I'm going to post the conference tournament pick'em thing here in a little bit. But that is all I've got for you guys. Stream is about 40 minutes. Yeah, that's great. We just need a quick one. Postseason basketball is here, y'all. March Madness is here. I know. Heel's got some good storylines here. UNC and Queens both might be reaching their potential. Exciting times. All right, that's gonna do it for me. I will post the pick'em, and y'all can get on that, I guess. Fuck UNC. Had to get one of those for the road, NJax. I respect it. All right, I'm out of here. See y'all in the next one. Bye.